What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Zebec today, ZBCN. It is the 16th day of November, and here we are sitting at about $0.003 with 8 hours and 51 minutes left in the day. We did not hold our golden ratio zone, right? For a second here, I was thinking that that's exactly what we would do, is that we'd find support here and move up. I mean, to be fair, we did a couple of times, but this is the third time. Third time's no good, and we broke through the golden ratio here. Now it's looking like we're likely going to go down to the 786 or the 886, somewhere down here. We're hoping that we don't take out this low. If we do, 00252 to 00225 is the likely target destination, somewhere in this area here. Okay, we could see lower lows. I would expect that if this happens, not when, but if this happens, that it's a very short-lived experience. It might be fast down, fast up. You'll be down and back before you know it. You know what I mean? So don't freak out. Don't panic if we do go lower. I very much believe that Bitcoin and the rest of the market as a whole is at a low point. Like we're definitely seeing the signs. It's just we haven't seen any of the validation to that idea yet, but we will. Nothing moves in a straight line forever. Bitcoin's been moving in a pretty straight line to the downside. I think that we will pop. We will move back up. Typically, before we actually start moving higher, we do shake out the weak hands. We do get a nice violent kind of drop. Here, you know, we had a slightly lower low, and then we had a very nice reaction. Here, we're getting a slightly lower low. Maybe we get the same thing. Back here, very immediate drop, slightly lower low, and then we moved up higher. I'm hoping that's what happens with Bitcoin. I think if that happens, that Zebec can definitely hold these levels here, and we don't have to go too much lower. But looking at the chart right now, I would very much expect that we do see 00294. So let's just say 003 effectively, basically right where we are now, a little bit lower, or 00285, somewhere in that zone for support. Okay, looking at the 1 hour time frame. The 1 hour time frame here, you are finding resistance at your 60 level, okay, consistently. Your RSI does look beat up. You're not really getting any life down here. I would think that you go lower from here. It makes a lot of sense that you would. And again, with those fib levels below, it makes sense that you would. Stochastics look like you want to go lower. And the MACD, you're forming some bullish momentum here, but it's not really, it doesn't matter. Who cares? You've got this bullish divergence, and you even flipped, you cross green, you're building bullish momentum now, and you're not doing anything with it. That's not good. You probably do go lower. You're just finding resistance at prior support. That's not good. You're probably going to go lower. 4 hour time frame. No bullish divergence. We just got rid of the bullish divergence, actually. Maybe it is time to move higher. A little bit lower, though, probably, right? Very bearish RSI, very bearish stochastics, and the MACD is also bearish, but there is bullish divergence, and with a slightly lower move down, we will further that bullish divergence, and that's actually a very promising outlook right there. So, yeah, a little bit lower. I'm more convinced now than I was in the beginning of the video that we don't go below this low. I don't think that we go below that low. I was pretty convinced of that at first, but I'm more convinced of it now. Something at about 00294 to 00285, something in there for support. That's what we're looking for. It's probably going to be directly that line or that line, less likely somewhere in between, right? Maybe we wick a little bit below like this here, but nothing crazy. I doubt that we're right in the middle is all I'm trying to say. It would be more likely here or there or somewhere around those two levels, 00294, 00285, okay? Then, when we find support in that area, we should be moving higher. Oh, look at that. We will, with a close down in that area, a close today at all at this price or lower, will give us bullish divergence on our RSI and our stochastics and our MACD. So we're setting up for bullish divergence on all three indicators here on our daily time frame. That's actually nice to see. Coincided with the fact that we've got very extreme levels of fear here. Bitcoin is at a very low point, but it's at a point at which we'd expect to bounce. Open interest is at very low levels for Bitcoin and for crypto as a whole. We're actually seeing some of the lowest amounts of leveraged positions in the markets that we've seen since like June, which is pretty crazy. That's typical whenever you are ready to break out and move higher. So we're just, all the signs are there, man. I mean, the government shutdown just ended. Last time we had a government shutdown that lasted this long, we saw very positive effects in the market over the month and the months that followed. Jobs report data is coming out, and there's not going to be any unemployment rates in this data report, which might be good. I don't know. That might, because there won't be any unemployment data because the government's been shut down for over a month, so they're not going to have anybody collecting that data, right? Perhaps the Fed decides to pause their inflation rate cuts, or their interest rate cuts. They've been doing rate cuts consistently now, right, since September. They might pause and not cut in December just because we don't have all the jobs data, right? And that's not any fault of anybody. It's just the government shutdown. Now we don't have that data because the government was shut down, the unemployment data. So because of that, because of the lack, I think that really does help influence if we cut rates or not. And if we don't have the unemployment data, Jerome Powell might just want to wait and see instead of making any decisions without data. So with that, even with that being implied, I would still think that we move up higher. I'd very much think that we move up higher. We've got all these things set up, okay? From a high to a low, from the high back in May to the low here in July. We're holding our 236 for support. When we do move higher, and we'll know that we validate this as a low, we'll know that we validate this as a low, and that we are moving higher once we get back above our golden ratio at 0.0465. You close above there on a daily basis. We validate that this is the low, and we're also breaking out of this downtrend, right, with that. So closing above 0.0465 is important on a daily time frame. We do that, we should be home free to targets that are at 1 cent, 1.5 cent, and beyond. Ultimately, I think Zebec here, ZBCN, is going to go to something between 3 cents and 7.9 cents by the end of January. We very likely are in the lower ends of this range by the end of the year and the upper ends of this range by the end of January. That's my expectation. I know that it seems like, what's the word I want to use? A pipe dream. It seems kind of crazy, especially right now because we've been so boring for the past few months and depressed moving down. But don't forget, crypto has a way of making people forget how ferocious it can be whenever it wants to move up, right? If you're bored here, just remember how bored you were before, right? Remember how discouraging it was before when you're at your all-time lows. That was the best time to buy, right? It's the best time to buy right now. Most likely throughout this whole range. If it's not the best time to buy, obviously that was the best time. It's one of the best times to buy. And this, I would say, is a better time to buy than here, even though this is at a lower price, because here you're actually closer in time to this, and time is money, right? Here, if you put your investment in, but you have to wait all this time to get this result, I mean, I think this little bit of a premium is worth the lack of waiting and time that we'll have. And we should see a move again much like this, because that's the type of move that we had here. It's literally the exact same move that we had here. I would expect that we move up a little bit more than 3 cents. I don't think that we'll see a smaller move, but a bigger move, in which case I'm very much under the impression that 4.5 cents and beyond is the path that we're on. And if we move at this same pace, if we start moving up like next week, I mean, we could see these targets by the end of the year. Absolutely. And that was the idea, right? 3 cents, 4.5 cents by the end of the year, 4.5 cents or higher by the end of January. I've got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.